Tonight, CNN is suing President Trump.
A new seafood restaurant opens near Syracuse.
And the New York State Fair is coming this winter.
WTOP 10 Nightly News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Salvatore Sperazza.
And I'm Abby Buttacavoli.
CNN has filed a lawsuit against President Trump in response to revoking Chief White House Correspondent Jim Acosta's press pass. The suit was filed Tuesday morning in the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C., claiming the president has violated Acosta's and CNN's First and Fifth Amendment rights.
CNN has issued a statement calling for the immediate return of Jim Acosta's press pass, as well as permanent relief for the chief White House correspondent. CNN is seeking a preliminary hearing to ensure Acosta can return to the White House as soon as possible. This court case will be presided by Judge Timothy J. Kelly, who is an appointee of Donald Trump.
One person was rescued from a vehicle after crashing into a pond in Oswego County. According to a 911 dispatcher, the accident occurred at County Route 4 and Winks Road in Palmero, where Russ Pond is located. Police scanners reported the vehicle became submerged in a pond after hitting a pole. The person in the car was transported to a nearby hospital, and the state of his or her condition remains unknown.
A new Cajun seafood restaurant called Boil It has opened its doors on Old Liverpool Road. Boil It is the second Louisiana-style seafood restaurant to open in Syracuse since August of this year. The restaurant's owners, Kenny Louie and his brother Jason Lee, states they only plan to serve fresh Louisiana crawfish, such as shrimp, crab, and lobster. Boil It is located at 702 Old Liverpool Road, just south of the village of Liverpool.
Officials in Fulton are hoping to open up a new Taco Bell just in time for the holiday season. The former site of a strip mall located at 501 to 505 South 2nd Street has been under construction since September and will soon reopen as a Taco Bell. The director of marketing for Hospitality Syracuse, Jessica Woodburn, says there have been no changes in the timeline and are hoping to open before Christmas. Fulton is the only place getting a Taco Bell, however. According to Woodburn, construction for one here in Oswego is set to begin after winter and will be located at 147 to 153 George Street, with an anticipated opening in 2019. Now let's take a quick look at the weather with Storm Team 10 meteorologist Alex Bielfeld. Alex, how's it looking out there?
Thanks, guys. Standing outside, it's really cold out right now. A little breeze is making it feel a little colder than it actually is. And I've been seeing some snowflakes, and that's indicative of some more snow that we are expecting later tonight. Right now, we do have a winter storm warning in effect for most of the region, and that does include Oswego and Syracuse. Looking at the satellite and radar right now, you can see off to the west that band looks to be setting up likely south of Oswego overnight tonight, and which includes the city of Syracuse. Timing that out, we can see within the next hour, you can see some bursts of snow making it onshore throughout the region. Continuing that throughout the rest of the night, you can see bursts of snow continuing to come onshore. Before that morning commute, looks like that band is going to set up just to the south of Oswego for portions of Sodas Point and including into Syracuse. So that morning commute tomorrow is going to be trekky, so take it slow on the roads tomorrow morning. I'm going to have more on that, plus our next coastal storm coming up after the break. But for now, I'm going to send it back to the desk. Guys.
Thank you, Alex. New York State is giving Amazon more than $1.5 billion in taxpayer-funded incentives in exchange for getting half of the company's second headquarters in a section of Queens. Amazon made the announcement on Tuesday to open HQ2 in Queens, New York and Alexandria, Virginia, creating 25,000 jobs in each location. The amount of New York State is giving to Amazon is nearly triple the amount the state of Virginia is giving. According to a statement released by Amazon, Governor Cuomo has called the agreement one of the largest, most competitive economic development investments in U.S. history.
The New York State Fair is coming to Syracuse, but don't forget to bring a hat and coat. The New York State Fairgrounds will be hosting a new winter fair in February, according to CNYCentral.com. This event promises to have the best of the New York State Fair, but indoors and in midwinter. In a tweet by the New York State Fair, the Winter Fair 2019 will feature rides, music, food, and entertainment. It will be held at the Exposition Center and Fairgrounds between February 8th and February 10th. Advance tickets go on sale November 19th.
New Era Cap Company is closing its manufacturing plant in Derby, New York this coming March. The headwear manufacturing company headquartered in Buffalo made the announcement this morning to the Derby plant and the Communication Workers of America, the union representing most of their workers. Derby is the only city in the United States with a manufacturing plant run by New Era. The closure of this facility would leave all 219 workers there without jobs.
Coming up later tonight, the latest updates on the wildfires blazing through California.
And a notorious drug lord faces trial in the U.S.
This is WTOP 10 Nightly News. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Anthony Citron, and for one view a day, you can help producers at WTOP get the recognition they deserve for their work. For just 30 minutes a day, you can help these students make sure their work does not go unnoticed. Please, click the link below and help these students get the recognition they deserve. All it takes is one view a day.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home walk restaurant. Need a review?
No. He's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 wonders of the world.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Hey there, I'm Al Roker, class of 76. Yes, way back in 76. Back when the earth was cooling. You're watching WTOP.
Welcome back from the break, everyone. I'm your chief meteorologist, Alexander Bielfeld, and we do have some snow that will make its way into the area later tonight and through the day tomorrow. Right now, we do have some winter storm warnings in effect for Oswego, northern Cayuga, and Wayne counties, as well as Madison and Onondaga. That does include the city of Syracuse. And that, looking at the satellite radar, you can see in our region, you can see very quiet right now, but off to our west, you can see that this band is beginning to form right over Sodas Point. And this is where we expect that band to form over the night tonight and into early tomorrow, bringing some pretty heavy snow. Currently, though, temperature-wise, we are standing around the freezing mark at Oswego. We are at 33, a degree above the freezing mark. Fulton, we're at 32. Cooler as we head up into the higher elevations, we are in the upper 20s. So timing out that lake effect band, you can see later tonight that just a burst of snow coming onshore, but going into our morning commute, you can see that that band is going to set up just to the south of Oswego and make its way into the city of Syracuse. So be careful on the roads for your morning commute. And going through the day Wednesday, you can see that that band is continuous by the early afternoon and is going to continue through the early afternoon, but begin to dissipate as we head into the later part of the evening. Now, how much are we expecting? You can see where the heaviest where the band does set up, you can see the heaviest amounts, anywhere from 6 to 12, even higher amounts into those portions. Now, our next big story is this big coastal storm over here in the southeast that we are expecting to really churn and bring some even more snow for the region. You can see it gets its act going later tomorrow night. Some snow for the Mississippi Valley, rains to the east and south of that region. Now that moves north and northeast into our region, places like New York. You can see it late Thursday for your evening commute. You can see some snow. Look at that in Pennsylvania, inundated by some heavy to moderate snow. Now looking into our region, we can see that those heavy snow begins to make its way into late Thursday night and continues throughout the day on Friday. You can see driving on the interstates, I-81 from Watertown to Binghamton, Buffalo to Albany on the thruway. You can see some heavy snow. You can see that the snow will be coming down, so please take it easy on the roads for your Friday morning commute through the day Friday, but by Friday evening, it looks to be moving out, and we can be left with some rain showers and some warmer air begins to move on in. Looking at the rest of the 7 days, you can see, look at that tomorrow. We have the chance of lake effect snow showers, cool temperature of only 38. Thursday, we get even colder, temperature of only 30. That snow moves in late Thursday night into Friday. And for your weekend, we look to continue that unsettled pattern, but we do make it up into the 40s. Coming up after a break, we have more news and sports. You're watching WTOP 10 Nightly News.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hi there. You might wonder what a famous Hollywood celebrity like me is doing reading in the dark. Is this some new sort of Hollywood method acting? No, this is quite real.
Did you know that Americans use about 4 times as much energy per year as the global average? We waste energy left and right, despite the fact that the dirty fossil fuels we use to power our energy sources wreak havoc on the natural world and destroys valuable wildlife habitats.
By reading with my solar-powered night vision goggles, I'm saving energy and looking sleek.
You don't have to sit in the dark like Ed Begley Jr. to save the world. Fight climate change by speaking up for cleaner, smarter energy, including rooftop solar.
Oh, that's way better. Oh.
Do your part and find out other world-saving tips at betterthaned.org.
Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. While votes are still being counted for the Senate race in Arizona, Republican candidate Martha McSally announced on Monday she has conceded to her Democratic opponent, Kyrsten Sinema. Although, according to CNN, the representative of Arizona's 9th Congressional District currently leads McSally by roughly 38,000 votes. John Kill, the Arizona senator appointed to finish John McCain's term, states he has no plans to run for the seat in 2020 special election, a seat McSally likely has her eye on. Kyrsten Sinema will be the first female to represent the state of Arizona in the U.S. Senate.
Kyrsten Sinema.
In Napa Monday morning, what had already been planned to be a rally took on an extra significance following last week's mass shooting in Thousand Oaks. Wayne Friedman was there and the crowd gathered, spoke, and then marched.
Imagine the kind of event you would never want to attend, but from which you could not stay away. That happened in Napa this morning.
Our student leaders, they've figured this out.
And so the mix of politicians, parents, children, all prompted by the death of Napa native Elena Housley, a victim of the mass shootings in Thousand Oaks last week.
She was so smart and so hardworking, and I firmly believe she was going to change the world.
Though no one imagined her doing so this way.
What's up, buddy?
Even Elena's father, Eric, attended. He received just as much comfort as he gave.
This is just senseless acts of violence because we're not there for one another.
Supporters of this rally and march wanted to make a point today. They said it wasn't anti-gun, it was anti-gun violence. They see a distinction.
People can use guns for hunting, they can use it for protection, but they shouldn't be bringing them in places where public people, especially if it's in the hands of someone that has mental health issues.
In Napa, one might describe this as grieving with a purpose. What else can anyone do?
If it just saves one more life, if it just stops one more shooting, it's worth it.
In Napa, Wayne Friedman, ABC 7 News.
This mass shooting occurred just a week and a half after 11 people were killed at a synagogue in Pittsburgh.
Crews are working around the clock to try to contain catastrophic wildfires burning across California. While firefighters are beginning to make some progress, extreme conditions are hindering their efforts. Karen Kafa reports.
With the death toll in the north rising and near hurricane force gusts expected in the south, firefighters in California face another uphill battle.
From all that I've seen and heard, the fire burned hotter, faster, and destroyed not only homes, but deep infrastructure such as power lines, water lines, sewers, roads, lights, and other things that make a city a city.
The governor of California is clear about where he places blame.
The temperatures are warming. The winds are getting more intense. The fires are more likely. The hurricanes are more intense. Warming is occurring because of the continuing and rising carbon emissions.
The campfire burning in Northern California is now the deadliest in state history. The majority of lives lost come from this community, now burned to the ground.
A whole town was wiped off the face of the earth in a matter of 8 hours.
There is nothing left. All my neighbors except one are gone.
Meanwhile, fierce winds continue to threaten lives and homes in Southern California's Woolsey fire. Harrowing stories of escapes and close calls are emerging.
I called him because my car was completely surrounded by flames and I couldn't see out the window, and I started to fill up with smoke, and I called him and I said, "Nick, I'm gonna die and I'm not gonna make it out of here. There's just flames everywhere and I don't know what to do." And he said, "Don't die, run. If you're gonna die, die fighting."
In Malibu, California, I'm Karen Kafa.
The wildfires have burned over 125,000 acres and have killed more than 42 people.
In Ohio, 4 members of the Wagner family were arrested in connection with the murders of 8 members of an opposing family. 47-year-old George Wagner, 48-year-old Angela Wagner, 27-year-old George Wagner IV, and 26-year-old Edward Wagner were arrested Tuesday, being charged with planning out and following through with the murders of 8 members of the Roden family. The Wagners were residents of South Webster, Ohio, a 30-mile drive southeast of Piketon, where the killings took place. The 8 victims of the Roden family's ages ranged from 16 to 44.
A former congressional candidate who lost his bid this year is running for president in 2020. Democrat for Southern West Virginia Richard Ojeda announced his presidential plans Monday at the Korean War Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. The former Army paratrooper who ran on the Democratic ticket as a populist and Trump critic in Republican West Virginia says he stands with the working class. In his announcement, he says, "I think I relate to the people far more than what the president can ever relate to these people. The very people he comes down to West Virginia and stands in front of could never afford one single round of golf in some of his fancy country clubs. That's not where I stand." Ojeda voted for Trump in 2016, but in 2018, Trump called him a total wacko at campaign events.
Notorious drug cartel boss Joaquin El Chapo Guzman Loera will be put in front of an American jury in what is gearing up to be the most prominent criminal trial in decades. El Chapo was once the world's biggest drug trafficker, accused of being the head of a cross-continental criminal enterprise with nothing but bloodshed and violence in its wake. Security is at an all-time high at the courthouse with SWAT squads, heavily armed marshals, bomb-sniffing dogs, and metal detectors. According to CNN.com, El Chapo earned upwards to $14 billion as the head of the Sinaloa cartel. This cartel is based in Colombia and employs planes, boats, and submarines to deliver cocaine to Mexico for distribution to the U.S. Said cartel was also confirmed to have taken part in over 30 killings. El Chapo currently resides in a solitary cell in Manhattan, awaiting his sentence.
According to CNN, Syrian Kurdish forces are resuming the final phase of operations to rid ISIS from its last remaining slivers of territory. The latest Kurdish push against ISIS follows a long and continuous standoff with the Turkish forces. The Syrian Kurds are considered the U.S. coalition's main ally in the fight against ISIS. Turkey and members of NATO considers the Syrian Kurds a terrorist group. The remaining holdout fighters are thought to be die-hard foreigners and ISIS leadership.
President Trump said recently that North Korea no longer poses a nuclear threat to the United States. However, a new report claims evidence of a number of missile operating bases that have not been acknowledged by the North Korean government. John Lorink reports.
Caught on camera, satellite images of previously undisclosed missile operating bases in North Korea. This despite President Trump's claim the U.S. is safe from Pyongyang.
The missiles have stopped. The rockets have stopped.
Kim Jong-un's regime hasn't tested a missile since talks began with the White House. However, in a new report, the Center for Strategic and International Studies claims to have identified 13 of an estimated 20 missile operating bases that North Korea has not declared.
They've continued their missile activity on the ground in all kinds of operational ways through and after the Singapore summit and the hopes for all that.
According to the CSIS, one of the bases is less than 100 miles from Seoul. Critics of the White House say Kim is making the U.S. look foolish.
The North Koreans have just not signed any document laying out what steps they're going to take to denuclearize in North Korea.
It was clear from the beginning that the North Koreans were not agreeing to give up their nuclear and missile programs.
Last week, a scheduled meeting was postponed between Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and his North Korean counterpart. And an official from North Korea's foreign ministry recently threatened that the country would restart its nuclear program unless the U.S. lifted sanctions. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The CIA declined to comment on the images. Coming up in sports, Mike Morano.
You're watching WTOP 10 Nightly News.
Hey, good morning, James.
James, wake up. It's Rise and Shine time. James, Rise and Shine. James, wake up. We're starting the show.
Good morning and welcome back to Rise and Shine at 9. I'm James Gattato here with your next update.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year, 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
If you think trains will stop if they see a car on the tracks, you're right. They will. About a mile after they hit you. Stop. Trains can't.
Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Michael Morano with your sports update. Let's hop right into Oswego sports. The Oswego State men's basketball team will begin their season this Friday, November 16th against Elmira at 7:30 p.m. The Lakers finished last season just one game over 500 with a 14-13 record. With their top two seniors, Ian Schupp and Jameer Farah be gone, Tyler Pierre, who averaged 10.4 points per game for the Lakers last year, will only look to improve from there. They will have 6 new freshmen on the squad as they look to get back the game they lost against Elmira last year, 103-90. Moving over to the women's side, the Oswego State women's basketball team will begin their season on the road against Clarkson tomorrow, Wednesday at 6 p.m., who they also lost to on opening day last year by a score of 67-52. The Lakers are looking to bounce back from a rough season last year, posting a record of 7 wins and 18 losses, with 10 of those losses being at home. With Courtney Emile gone, expect senior Rachel Winhausen to step up, coming off a year which she averaged 10 points per game. Now moving over to football, the New York Giants finally snapped their 5-game losing streak against the San Francisco 49ers by a score of 27-23. Odell Beckham Jr. had 2 touchdowns off 4 receptions, and Eli Manning led the charge, throwing up 188 yards and throwing 3 touchdowns in the game. Big Blue moved to 2-7 on the year and will look to keep the momentum as they face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday at 1 p.m. Sticking with NFL, Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell will not sign his franchise tender as he will miss today's deadline of 4 p.m., and he will not play for the remainder of the 2018 season. Now, the team has 2 options with Bell. Either they could let him walk in free agency, or they could put him under a transition tag where he can negotiate contracts with other teams, but the Steelers have the opportunity to match those offers. Now let's go to NBA for some action for basketball as the Brooklyn Nets take on the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota. Karl Anthony Towns looking for a big game today. Second quarter, time running down here. Taj Gibson with the pass off the loop, and Cat throws it down here for the ferocious dunk to put the Timberwolves up by 1. Time winding down in the second here. Scary scene here for the Brooklyn Nets as Caris LeVert went for the block against Ogilvy, but he comes down hard and gets a gruesome injury there with his right ankle there. That was bad to see, especially for Brooklyn Nets fans and Caris LeVert, who was looking for a great season as he was averaging 18.4 points a game and 4.3 rebounds a game. A tough look here as all the players you can see are very emotional. When you're Sean Atchison, it's really tough here to, bring your players back from this. And, they still have a lot of basketball left to play, so he's got to, get the momentum again here. But D. Loden here with 2 quarters left to play, one of 9 3-pointers he had on the game here. He left with 31 points. Cat here dishing it out to D. Rose in the corner with the 3 here to put the Timberwolves up by 1 here at the third quarter. With late now in the fourth with 4 minutes left, D. Rose to Cat from the 3, and he makes that. Cat with the dagger there, as that puts the Wolves up by 11, and the Wolves would win this game 120-113. Cat with 25 points and 21 rebounds. Also, Derrick Rose with 23 points and 2 rebounds on the season, and the Nets will go to 6-8 on the year.
So I heard we're going to get a little bit of snow. Can you explain what's going to go on?
Yeah, a little bit of snow for the region. I'm going to stay south of Oswego, though, the heaviest of bands. Watch out for the city of Syracuse for your morning commute tomorrow, as the roads will be slippery. Oswego, though, expect a trace to an inch. Very brief snow as those bands just keep coming on shore and off.
Yeah, awesome. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Abby, don't you have something to say to a special someone watching out there?
I do. Thank you, Grandma, for watching. I love you. All right, so that's our report for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned for What's the Tea, Sis?
Thank you for watching. Have a great night, everyone.
When you are in space, you can't run down to the store to buy parts. You have to improvise with what you have on your mission. Making is when there is something new that was not in existence at the beginning of the day. Okay. It's an incredible sense of accomplishment when you have made something. That's why I make. Now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.